Hi everyone, Xiaomi has introduced the new Redmi Note series, and of course I have the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. Sadly not any of the other ones that I can give you an opinion about, but of course let's discuss the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus and see what the camera can do. So the new Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, let's have a quick overview of the phone specifications. We get the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 inside, we get 8GB up to 12GB of RAM, 256GB up to 512GB of UFS 2.2 storage, which is quite a bit slower than I would like to see, a 6.67 inch AMOLED display with a peak brightness of 3000 nits and 120Hz refresh rate. The screen is protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 2. We also get an IP68 rating, 120 watt charging with a 5110 mAh battery. For the main camera we get a 200 megapixel resolution with an f-stop of 1.65 and it's a 1/1.4 inch sensor size, which is quite respectable. An 8 megapixel ultra wide with an f-stop of 2.2, we don't know the sensor size of that one, and a useless 2 megapixel macro camera, and that is all we need to know there. Max video recording is 4K 30 frames per second for the main sensor, but 1080p and 30 frames per second for the ultra wide because of course it has a lower resolution. For the front facing camera we get a 20 megapixel resolution and video recording is at 1080p and 60 frames per second. Front facing camera on the new Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, which is just a weird name. On screen this actually looks fine, there's a little bit of depth as well, some shaking maybe. But this looks fine. Okay, max video recording is 4K 30 frames per second, so you cannot switch to different sensors while recording. Just a bit of panning. A little bit lucky while recording, could be during shooting itself, processing itself, it will be better. Something odd going on over there. Please stop my phone, like it's not sure what it has to do with the exposure. Sky color is pretty close. It's a little bit lighter blue, so a bit closer to white, but apart from that it's actually quite solid in colors itself. Right, video recording limited to 4K 30 frames per second. I'm gonna take a shot of that because that looks stunning. Really like the lights on there. You cannot switch between anything. You can manually zoom in, but you cannot go, for instance, to the ultra wide or in 4K 30 frames per second. And that's because the ultra wide is limited to 1080p and 30 frames per second. Looks very contrasty as well. Now let's dive into the camera capabilities of this new Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. Naturally we're not expecting flagship level performance given the price point, but considering its somewhat budget friendly nature, the results still are pretty solid. Thanks to the 200 megapixel main sensor you also get a 4x crop, which offers a pretty solid capability when it comes to the zoom itself. The images hold up well unless you're zooming in to pixel peep into the details itself, but even then it can still perform pretty decently. In situations like this the shots come out great, largely though thanks to the way the scene naturally looks. The clouds, the reflection in the water and all the elements enhance the image, but the processing isn't overdone and it doesn't try to make the scene look too artificial, too sharp or anything like that. It keeps it pretty natural and I really like that in terms of result. That said, the ultra wide does fall short when it comes to color accuracy, sharpness, especially along the edges. It's a sensor that should easily get an upgrade. An 8 megapixel sensor at this point really doesn't cut it anymore for a phone like this. One thing I truly appreciate about Xiaomi in phones like these is the flexibility to experiment with different styles. For me the styles of images is really important and it's a part of the photography fun that I have with phones like these. And I love playing around with it to create unique moods. For example, black and white, and in this case H400. It adds a soft, less contrasty feel that makes the scene feel more authentic, especially when zooming in because the image quality isn't that great when zooming in too far. I definitely use this style at places where I like to capture the essence of the scene. Take for instance this. The interior shot is a great example on how a mode like this can really bring character to the shot itself.
Black and white, definitely going to the rescue here when it comes to this kind of setup. Again, it has its weaknesses, but because of the black and white, I can still capture some really good shots here. I've never been to this part of, I don't know, when it comes to walking and take pictures, but holy shit, with that sun, I actually really love it. Lucky enough, I have my 14 Ultra with me as well. Like at these shots, it's just too bright, exposure problems, but apart from that, not really much to complain. I can't really, with one hand, turn down the brightness, but we'll do that a little bit afterwards. But yeah, I really like this setup with the trees and the shadows that it creates on the building. That's amazing. 14 Ultra will deliver your amazing shots. Now when it comes to the camera on this Redmi, I will say when it comes to the colors, I really like it. Sure, it's not going to be a flagship performance, but color accuracy is actually pretty nice. It's not spot on and it doesn't have like the feeling that you get for instance the Xiaomi 13 Pro or the 14 Ultra, but colors are accurate. So at the end, when it comes to the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, which again is just a really weird name for a device, I will say the camera capabilities of the main sensor are really good. I really like what I can get out of that main sensor itself. It's a 1/1.4 inch sensor size, so it's not really a surprise. Sure, 200 megapixel resolution, it helps a little bit with the crop itself, but I'd rather have a telephoto. Especially when we look at what we get with the ultra-wide itself. The ultra-wide is the same 8 megapixel sensor, and I assume it's the same sensor we've been using for a long time, which is a 1/4 inch sensor size, which again just isn't good enough for a phone like this. I feel like it's definitely needed of an upgrade. I feel like we're stuck now with this same ultra-wide and it really needs to go. Give us either a better ultra-wide or give us a telephoto that is also better. Because yeah,
don't really feel like the ultrawide is doing much when it comes to a camera system like this. I feel like it's holding it back more than progressing it. Because simply put, when it comes to that main sensor, it's really good, but when it comes to the ultrawide, it's lackluster. So there, definitely an upgrade is needed. But overall, when it comes to the camera and the features that I've been using with it, I feel like this is still holding up well. And at 200 megapixel resolution, yeah, sure, it's a bit of a number game, but at the end you get a pretty decent zoom capability when it comes to the phone itself without having a telephoto. Either way, let me know what you think about this new Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. I will give you opinions about the other versions, but sadly Xiaomi didn't send any of those, and I did request it, but you know how it is when it comes to contacts. But either way, let me know what you think about this one. I wish I could give you the opinion about the others though. Either way, before we go, I really want to thank my members. I really appreciate the support that you guys have been giving me. I really do. And of course, if you want to become a member, you can by clicking join below. For a channel size like mine, it really matters. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and of course if you aren't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe, like and everything like that, and talk to you guys in the next.